of just always going back to the real center. So let's do the welcome. The four of us who are kind of planning the meeting. Mary, if you want to go next.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary Caston. I'm a teacher leader with Milwaukee Public Schools and partner with Rachel as part of the Northwestern Mutual Project. And so one thing I knew about myself was that I leaned towards perfectionism, but one thing I'm learning about myself is shifting that narrative to what Brene Brown calls healthy striving. So understanding that nobody's perfect and that if you can't make a mistake, you can't make anything, but that doesn't mean that I have to lower my standards of myself, but I need to shift it into more of that space of healthy striving.
All right, Allison.
Hi, everyone. I'm Allison Henderson, the Community Outreach Assistant with Muskego Way Forward. I've learned a lot this year, but I think one thing that continues to surprise me is resiliency and how we went through something like this and continued to find new ways to make things work, to cope, to solve problems. So that's been a huge learning experience for me, and witnessing everybody else do it as well has been really something I've admired seeing. So.
All right.
And then Edith too.
I know, but I think she might have gone off for a minute. Let's see her there right now.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know what happened.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Here I am.
Yay.
Hi, everyone. Edith Chavez, program manager and lead organizer for Muskego Way at MCC. And then one thing I guess that I've learned this last year was how important routines are.
All right, very good. And really our whole purpose here today is getting to know each other and our work. So so that's kind of the start of that. And now I think Edith will take us into our the purpose here.
Yeah, I can do that. So the purpose pretty much that we wanted to have these meetings with you all was to share what we are all working on and hope to achieve over the next year, and also, like, you know, in the future as well. Build a place where everyone can connect with each other and talk about opportunities or find ways that we can collaborate with each other for those people that haven't had the opportunity to do so or want to continue to collaborate. And then also establishing a consistent meeting structure so that we can align our efforts around short-term strategies around the Muskego Way Revitalization Plan. For those of you that aren't familiar with the revitalization plan, it's a plan that was created with our neighbors, pretty much just telling us what they want to see in their community. And this plan is what we hope to look at over the years to address their concerns and keep moving forward and achieving those goals that they as well.
So this slide shows Northwestern Mutual's kind of theory of change around it out with naming desired results. That's what's in the revitalization plan. I think everyone's probably pretty familiar with that, but we can also send it back out after this meeting. Again, as Edith said, it was a very resident-led process to come up with. So it's the voices of residents are first and foremost, along with all the community partners. We're kind of in the process now of setting up our plan, our collective plan. So what we want to do, and this is part of like what Mary and I have done in other projects too, and why we're part of this meeting today, is just obviously the revitalization plan is this enormous, beautiful, rich, long-term vision. So what we're really trying to do now is say, okay, how do we take that vision and make it into something that feels manageable and short-term and achievable? And that really connects on with growing collaboration, because as Antoine said, the more we can come together, understanding each other's work, collectively putting our efforts towards some of the strategies, the better we are able to meet those strategies, and the more we're able to see that direct action. So that's part of what we're going to be talking about today. And then as we get into future meetings, just talking about some benchmarks that can just help the group itself see where are we strong in our efforts, where are some other things we're missing, and how is it going.
And I just want to add to, I know Edith touched on this a little bit, but the connection might have been breaking up. So this kind of came out of many conversations we've had with most of you, and just hearing all of the interest and goals and hopes that you have for your work in youth programming or youth enrichment. So we thought it would be great to bring everyone together to one table, to just have a place where we can all connect and talk about what we're doing. Obviously, we're structuring this around some of our revitalization goals, but we also want this to be really beneficial for you too, to make connections with each other, to kind of work through some of the goals that you have and present them here and things like that. So this is for all of us to just meet and see each other and talk about it.
And, we're really lucky because Edith and Allison have kind of built into their, the rest of their workload. They have a bit of time dedicated to being able to do some anchor organization work in terms of just contact lists and setting up meetings and figuring out the Zoom and bringing people together. And so, today, what we're really going to do is just start the conversation around, what are we doing, getting to know each other. We're just, starting kind of with that goal of knowing each other's work, and then over time, really moving that into feeling like a collective. I mean, the goal that I think we all have is that once we have some meetings, and over time, all of us on Zoom, we will really feel like a collective together, and working, toward our common goals. We all already have a lot of the same goals, very similar goals. So we're trying to build that collective. We're going to start out, as we said today, I'm doing some of the facilitation today. Allison's really going to be doing that for the next few meetings. And then we're hoping over time that can be something that's shared across people in the meeting in terms of agendas and tracking action steps and stuff like that. All right, so now we're really moving into the meat of the meeting here. When we looked over everyone's proposals, if you are part of Northwestern Mutual Funding, this group also is going to have people that aren't part of Northwestern Mutual Funding. It's not just all based around that. But we looked over those proposals. We looked over things that Allison and Edith knew were going on in the community. Some of you all hear what each other are doing. Plan. Strategy 1 is connecting schools to resources to better serve students and families. And in goal 3, strategy in the chat, in terms of really, wanting to hear everyone's organizations and hear everyone. So we'll have another chance to hear a little bit more about what we're all doing. So Mary, take it away with the Jamboard.
Awesome. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to drop the link for the Jamboard into the chat. So give me 1 second here.
All right, and I think a couple more people might have joined. So if you have joined, I'm very, very happy to have you here. The next activity is going to be another time of introducing ourselves. So we'll introduce ourselves after we put everything in the Jamboard, but Mary will explain kind of how to use the Jamboard and what to put in there, and we will keep going.
All right. Are you able to see the Jamboard up on the screen? I'm newer to Zoom presenting. I'm more accustomed to Google Meet. So up on the screen is our Jamboard. You'll notice that we have the goal and strategy that Rachel referenced on the previous slide. And so what we're asking you to do is to grab a sticky note or a text box and to write how you're currently working towards this goal 1, strategy 1, and to please be as specific as you can and to include the name of your organization. So the way you're going to do that is there's a toolbar on the side here. You have your choice of a sticky note. Right under the arrow here, if you click on sticky note, one should pop up. You can type in and you click save and it will pop up on the screen. You can move it around, you can make it larger, smaller, and you can delete it if you wanted to start fresh. So the sticky note does limit you by character. The other option is to grab a text box and you drop that on and type just like you would on a Word document. Again, sharing your organization and being specific about how your work that you're currently working on connects to the goal 1, strategy 1. So up at the top then, you'll see 3 slides. So slide 1 is goal 1, strategy 1. When you click over, you'll see slide 2 is the goal 3, strategy 2. So same process, grab your sticky notes, grab your text box. You can put as many as you want, so don't feel like you have to put all of your thoughts on one. Feel free to add as many as you'd like. And then the last slide is if you have any announcements or any requests for support around youth education and enrichment at this time, the slide 3, so that way we can all get accustomed to what's going on in the neighborhood and use this as a platform to quickly share information with one another. So with that being said, I see lots of individuals in the Jamboard already, and I see some sticky notes already jumping in. So I will leave you to it. Feel free to work at your own pace between the 3 different slides.
And we'll take about 5 minutes to complete the 3 slides, and then we'll come back together at 11:40 and start sharing a little bit. If you have any questions about the Jamboard, just put them in the chat or just call them out and we'll talk it through. Okay, in the interest of time, I think the first two Jamboards look really good. This is going to be an ongoing conversation with announcements and stuff. So I think let's go back and get started. And we're going to have just about 10 minutes today to talk about the Jamboards. We'll continue this on into the next meeting. As Allison and Edith have said too, this conversation today is just the jump start of really getting to know each other, getting to know each other's work, and feeling like we're building a collective around this work. It's so inspirational to see the first two Jamboards. I mean, to look around and I don't want to lose sight of how exciting it is to see all of this work that's being done, all of this effort. And so I think what's going to make the most sense is to start with the first Jamboard. I don't know, Mary, if you can make that any bigger or not. Otherwise, we can go and look on our own Jamboards too. But for those of you, there are about 3 people, I think, that joined the meeting in the last few minutes. If we can start with you, if you can either ask a question of someone else's sticky note or let us know a little bit about what you wrote on your sticky note. Maybe start with your name and organization. And then again, either share a little more information about what you're doing, or if you see something you have a question about, ask it. And that's kind of how we'll just get this. It's just going to be a very brief starting of the conversation today, but that's how we'll get it started.
And if it's okay, I'm going to move some of them around and make them slightly larger too. You can also, if you don't want to reference the screen being shared, feel free to look at it through the link that you're using as well.
All right, so Marwil or Deontay or anyone else who's joined in the last few minutes, do you want to start us off with a question for someone or a comment about your own?
Sure. Hi, Rachel and everyone else. Marwil Santiago here with MATC. My apologies for joining in so late. I was double booked for the first half hour. I didn't really have a chance to read through the sticky notes yet, so I'll just take this opportunity to kind of introduce myself and maybe highlight some of the items that I put down. But as I oversee recruitment at MATC, we have a team of 4 full-time recruiters, soon to be 5, and a small team of student ambassadors. And our major goal, obviously, is to make sure that students and young people throughout Milwaukee are aware of the programs at MATC, primarily Promise, which is our free tuition program for eligible students where someone can earn up to 75 credits with 0 tuition. Some of the strategies that we've undertaken, besides direct outreach to students, is developing stronger relationships with our partners, high school partners and community partners. So a couple of my sticky notes centered around that. I have a semesterly mailer going out to community partners highlighting Promise information and deadlines. And we also offer semesterly town hall meetings with our high school partners. So we have 2 populations, one within the high schools and one throughout the community. And we just work really hard to make sure that those connections are out there. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Very good. All right. Deontay.
Yeah, I apologize as well for being late. I'm moving everywhere. So thank you all for having and hosting this. So I didn't get a chance to look at all of the slides. The first thing I'll say is this is powerful to bring. One thing we always talk about in Milwaukee is how everything is siloed. It's a blessing to see this on what day is today? Thursday? The Bucks lost, so my schedule is off. But so I think this is a really good a good discussion. So I'll start there. My name is Deontay Lewis. I'm a little congested as well. Sorry. So my name is Deontay Lewis. I'm Vice President of Community Affairs for the Boys and Girls Club here in Milwaukee. So our footprint, 45 clubs. We got a camp out in Heartland, and then we have over 700 employees. The reason why I talk to that is because we're well known, but we're not known well. So in the slides that I put on here, we focus a lot. So our Davis Club is right in the middle of Muskego Way. And our focus is really out of school time and figuring out how do we enhance academics in a unique way, right? So how do we make it fun, whether that's in the summer or an after school setup for these young people to learn? So it's almost that notion of putting cheese on a carrot or cheese on a broccoli. if I only eat broccoli with cheese. So, but you know, like for that young person to really get that and digest it, make it in a digestible way. But we were really hard with Roger Street, which is the school that we're in. So that partnership and strengthening that relationship. What we haven't done as well, and I thank God for Edith, because she's really challenged us in this, is figuring out how do we get outside of our building, right? Like how do we activate the space and activate the community? Because the natural element is like we have a building, like they say, build it and they will come. But if you don't activate them, then it's just a building that has a logo on it. So getting out as much as possible to connect with community stakeholders, and that's the reason why we're on this call. So hopefully I didn't take too much time, Rachel, but yeah.
No, that's so well put. And one of the things we're going to work on, Allison and Edith and Mary and I, between this meeting and the next, is just really trying to think about more ways to make these meetings feel purposeful and like build a collective. So we're just barely starting out with that, and we had a little technical difficulties, and we don't have a ton of time, and we're on Zoom. So I feel like just everybody, we're gonna make this collective feel really powerful and meaningful and purposeful. But it's probably going to take just a little bit of time, and also ideas from other people too. Like we really want this to be all of our collective, all of us kind of coming together. So on that note, we do have a couple more minutes though. So I feel like we've got some really powerful unifying voices on here. If we can hear from a couple more people, again, just kind of the same thing, either some overall comments about us coming together as a collective. If there is a sticky note you have a question about, or you want to add something, let's hear from a couple more people, and then just everyone keep in mind, we're just starting the ball rolling, and it's going to be rolling and picking up steam. But anyone just want to unmute?
I do want to just hop in really quick. I noticed that there are a couple orgs that are partnering with other orgs that Exfabula is partnering with, like Imagine MKE with the Haggerty Museum. We have a partnership with them as well. We have a partnership at the Milwaukee Art Museum. We have a partnership with a couple other folks that I saw in the Jamboard. So if we can find some ways to overlap, we're all here for it. So Michaela and I are always down to continue to talk, especially outside of these meetings.
I'm down to jump in and just kind of share mine. Cool. So to be totally transparent, I'm not doing that much in Muskego Way. It's not what we call our priority neighborhoods, but I don't really care about those arbitrary lines. So when Allison kind of told me about this, I was interested. And there's a lot of stuff that I want to be doing. So I don't have a connection with the schools in Muskego Way at this time, but I do have a class that goes kind of in conjunction with driver's ed, or could be a precursor, because a lot of young folks don't know and they get into cars even before they're of driving age. So I'd be happy to offer that to any of the schools that need that kind of context around driving that driver's ed does not necessarily touch on. Also, I have Yoga in the Park, which is just an event. I did put that in the one thing. Oh wait, we're just focusing on this one. So connecting the schools, I'm down to do that if people have connections already and want extra support. I was previously a sophomore English teacher. So safe and sound, we're here, we want to do stuff. I started last year, May, during the pandemic. I don't have any young people. I just need to make connections with folks. So feel free to lean on me, email me, call me, I'm here.
Fantastic. And let's maybe have two more comments, and we can go on either Jamboard. If somebody wants to make a comment, let's do two more comments, then we're going to plan our next meeting. And then, as I said, we're going to stick with these same, we're not just going to lose these, we're going to bring these into our next meeting and figure out more ways to talk them through.
Hi. My internet started cutting out. I think Aaliyah was kind of speaking on some of the partnerships that Exfabula does, and I just wanted to kind of also say that we are continuously looking to be able to bring storytelling into organizations, because all of us are youth serving orgs, and I believe the best way to figure out what the youth need is directly from the mouth of the youth. And so we are using storytelling to continue to bring youth in the conversation, and a lot of the work that we do is surrounded by feedback that we've received from our workshops. And so I believe that it could kind of benefit in different ways. So whether that be figuring out how to get youth resources for employment or things, or colleges or things like that, or also with performing arts and a lot of art and activity building type of things. So yeah, we're just looking to be able to create partnerships that are sustainable, and they can kind of go in the ways that support your organization. So please feel free to contact me or Aaliyah. And I'm going to drop my information in the chat so that we can be reached prior to this meeting.
So hey, hello everybody. I'm Travis Hope with Southside Organizing Center. I try to help out as much as possible with Edith and Allison, working on different things in Muskego Way, incorporating youth and all the neighbors and residents and everybody involved. But what I'm really trying to look for now with youth is August 3rd on the South Side, which is the Southside National Night Out. We're trying to get youth groups or anybody that does any activities with youth to, you know, entertain and enrich the youth. In 2019, we had about 700 people show up to the Southside National Night Out at Kosciuszko Park, which is a neighbor of Muskego Way. And we had people from all over the South Side. And so we're not going to have like bouncy houses this year. We're just trying to figure out a way to have the youth be involved. I put my information in the chat if anybody want to reach out to me. And there was about 300 to 400 youth that showed up in 2019. So obviously with COVID, we didn't do it in 2020. So in 2021, we're trying to get it going. So if anybody's interested in that or would like to collaborate with anything or on anything to do with Muskego Way or anything on the South Side, just please contact me. Thank you.
That's awesome. But I think we want to get to the next slide so we can plan our next meeting. And I think, you know, what we can tell from this meeting is that I think there's like a huge willingness. There's already a lot of amazing work going around. And so the goal, Allison's goal of the Youth Resource Network is to be able to make those connections, you know, to help foster making those connections. So like right now we have each other's contact information. We'll also put that together for everyone, but we really want to go a step beyond that. The goal of the Youth Resource Network and these meetings is to make it so that making those connections happens naturally and happens easily and is streamlined into the work everyone's doing. So that's what everyone can expect from this moving forward. And on that note, Allison, let's get the next meeting going so we can make sure that happens. We take all this momentum and we really streamline and foster it into ways that work for everyone, and especially the neighborhood.
Yes, definitely. I am so excited, and I know that there's a lot more to be uncovered here. So I'm really looking forward to the next meeting and just to see what comes out of this. But my question for you all, if you can put in the chat, how frequently you would like this meeting to be realistically, like, you know, we want this to work for everyone. So do you think a monthly meeting is good, every 6 weeks, you know, along those lines? And then does this time work for you generally, or should we try to look for a different time? And as I said in the chat too, while you're all typing, just want you to know that the recording, even though I got kicked off the recording, and then notes and any info like the Jamboard, I will be following up with an email to include all that for you and for anyone who wasn't able to make it today.
All right, so far it seems like we'll do them monthly. We'll keep them at this time. I think we'll definitely do the next one on Zoom, but then probably at the next meeting, we'll talk about possibilities of maybe doing some on Zoom, because I know it's convenient and we want to respect the end of the pandemic, but also possibly getting together when we can, so we can meet each other in person. One of the things we like to do is like end the meeting with our action step table, so we can always review that. I think today, most of the action steps are going to come from Allison in terms of getting contact lists and the meeting notes and the recording as much as it came out to everyone. And I think with that, any kind of final word, final questions? It's awesome to see everyone and to just feel the collective energy to start coming together. So thanks so much for taking everyone's time and everyone's patience. If you have any ideas about things that would help building the collective, please send them over to Allison. And otherwise, that's what we're going to really put our brains behind. So thank you so much for everyone to be here and put everything out that you put today.
Yes, thank you, everyone.